Hello everyone, and welcome to the current episode of Sippin with Steven. And boy, do I have a treat for you guys today. I have two new friends here, Jay Arisman, who is one of the co-founders and the Vice President of Strategic Development at New Riff Distillery, and Patrick Spalding, who is the Regional Sales Manager for New Riff. And they are here to talk about, in my opinion, one of the hidden gems of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, and that is New Riff Distillery. Gentlemen, as I was doing my research, the word that kept coming up was rye. And I was hoping you could tell the Sippin with Steven viewers why rye is so important to your products and why you all use so much of it, because I was reading different stats that you all use on percentage basis a large amount of rye in your all's products. Jake, would you care to expound on that?
Sure thing, Stephen. So our bourbon is a high rye mash bill. It's 30% rye. It's not the highest in the industry, but it's genuinely a high rye mash bill. And our rye whiskey is 95% rye and 5% malted rye. We call that 100% rye. Between the two of them, we actually use on an annual basis, astonishingly, and I'm sure this has never happened before in the Kentucky bourbon industry, we use more rye grain on an annual basis than we do corn.
See, that is a fabulous stat. That's almost, for those who used to watch Cheers, that's a Cliffy Clavin stat right there, because that blows my mind. That is something I'm tucking away for my next cocktail party. Thank you for sharing. Part of the things that we want to do, that I like to do, is to tell people when they're out planning their Bourbon Trail experience, Patrick, why should they stop at a particular distillery? In New Riff, it's an easy story. Because for people coming down from Michigan, from Indiana, places of that nature, they're going to come through Cincinnati, and you all are right there in Newport, close to the aquarium, on the way heading south to either Bardstown or Louisville. And I have to tell this quick story as someone who has been to your distillery and who's gone on the tour and all those good things. It is nothing but an A+ experience. So I would encourage people, as they are out there and they're making their plans and they're coming south, or if they're here, take a brief hour-and-a-half drive and go up and check out New Riff. What would you say is your all's overwhelming, most popular product from a sales standpoint?
Sure. Our core products are bottled and bond bourbon and rye. And in fact, that's all we make is bottled and bond whiskey, with the exception of what probably is our most popular product, and that's our single barrel bourbon and our single barrel rye, which has really caught people's attention. That's bottled at barrel proof.
Awesome. I will tell you this, we do both a bottled and bond tasting here and also what we call a crafted selection with Craft Distillery, and New Riff is in both of them. And people walk away, if they didn't know about New Riff, they walk away thoroughly impressed. So that is really, really cool. I cannot tell you enough, and part of the reason they do that, I got to give whoever designed your all's bottle an A+, because it is sleek, it draws attention to the eyes, and I know people kind of sometimes will say, is packaging that important? And I say yes. From the shape of the bottle, I'm looking at a picture of the distillery on the back of the bottle. Even when it says bottled and bond, it's etched into the bottle. It's not just printed on a label.
Right.
Everything about that is so cool. And from somebody who likes high rye bourbon and a spicy flavor to my bourbon or my rye whiskey, I cannot encourage people who are out there to try New Riff enough. Part of what we will also do, as we're talking about that in the Sippin with Steven tradition, is we make a cocktail. And Patrick is going to make a cocktail called the Old Pal. He was going to tell me the ingredients, but I want the expert to do this. And it has me salivating a little bit. I can't wait till we actually taste this. Patrick, would you be so kind as to walk the viewers through what is in an Old Pal, and of course the most important ingredient, which is a New Riff rye whiskey?
Be happy to, Stephen. Thank you. Yeah, so anyone familiar with a Boulevardier should certainly consider enjoying an Old Pal from time to time. You can consider this a lighter, brighter sibling of the Boulevardier, invented by the same bartender, as a matter of fact. So since we are focusing on rye today, it's a natural fit. Any good Old Pal starts with a strong, sturdy rye whiskey, 100 proof bottled and bond New Riff rye. This is a classic equal parts cocktail, as many of the classics are. So you start, of course, with a strong 100 proof bottled and bond rye from New Riff.
Of course. And
pair that up with your favorite bitter red liqueur. And then lastly, this is obviously looking a bit like a Boulevardier to this point, except with rye instead of bourbon. And then instead of sweet vermouth, you go with dry vermouth, making this
The twist.
There's the twist.
The plot
There's
twist.
the twist.
I
So
love it.
where I really appreciate a Boulevardier as a somewhat of an after dinner, bit of a dessert pour, this is great to start a dinner party as a pre-dinner drink.
Well, as you're mixing that up, and we'll have a taste of it, I would like to tell the viewers one last time, if you're looking for, as you're planning your Bourbon Trail excursion and you're looking for something different, something unique, I cannot stress to go to New Riff. They are close, they are a fabulous experience, and it gives you something that, as Jay said, that's a little bit different with the mix-up of the grains. So anything else, Jay, that you would like to tell our folks about what they can perhaps experience at the distillery that I may have left out?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, it's, as you mentioned, Stephen, you can see a picture of it on the back. It's a piece of modern architecture that we are proud of. And it shows off the still. You know, one of the nice things, and being someone who's gone on a lot of tours myself,
Sure.
is we're kind of the biggest of the small distilleries, but the smallest of the big. We make bourbon just like the big places and rye, but we're small enough that you can stand in the middle of New Riff and see the entire process. See the still. Go up and touch it if you want. Don't burn yourself, but that's how intimate the tour can be at New Riff.
That's awesome. And the other thing I would tell people too, when it kind of feeds off of what you're saying, I don't like to get into the numbers, but let's say roughly between 14 and 15 states that you guys are in. When people come into the Fraser, a lot of people know who New Riff is if they're from one of those states that have it, but a lot of people are drawn to that bottle. They're drawn to our staff talking about it because of the high rye content. And it's really something, people come into here, they want to pick up something they can't get at their local liquor store. You know, and in that New Riff, once I get them talking to them about it, we get them on a tasting. If they can, you've got some customers. So I cannot tell you enough, again, to keep that in mind, whether you're a tour planner or just going out with friends and family to do a short excursion up to Newport to check out New Riff. In the meantime, it looks like Patrick has finished his concoction. We'll pass these down, and what I always like to do is do a toast to the Kentucky Distillers Association, to my new friends at New Riff, and to the Frasers being the official starting point of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. Here's to good times on the horizon as the COVID infection rates go down and the buses start rolling and people get back out to checking out America's native spirit. Let's have them stop into Newport, into New Riff, and find out what I already know, and that it's one of the best stops on the tour. Cheers, folks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome. Please, and also try this drink. He's got a career. He's got 2 careers. He could be a bartender. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Until we meet again.